I'm Judy Morano, director of the Studio Around the Corner, and today I'm here with Erik Siuda. He is the owner of the 8 Golden Falcons tattoo shop in Brewster and will be the artist in residence in May at the studio.
How you guys doing? Nice to meet you.
So Erik, why Brewster?
Why not? It's a beautiful, I think, honestly, Brewster's a beautiful town. I think it has a lot of charm to it that people neglect to see. Maybe they've been there too long and they just kind of forget, you know, which happens to a lot of people. The other thing is the train station is right there. And it's far enough from the city where you can kind of have the feeling of being in the woods and still have the, you know, the in-between of the city and the woods. So it's kind of a perfect meeting place for a lot of people.
Great, great. And from your accent, I can tell you're not from Brewster, so.
Not at all. Furthest, probably the furthest from it, from Brooklyn, originally, Greenpoint, Brooklyn to be specific, which is now, you know, big artsy-fartsy town, which is phenomenal. But I just kind of want to get out of the city. It's not the best place, in my opinion, to raise kids. And I want a little bit more privacy and just more room for the kids to grow and expand their personal selves, I guess you could say.
Now, did you own a business in Brooklyn?
No, I didn't own a business in Brooklyn. I grew up in Brooklyn. After working in the city at Red Rocket Tattoo, Triple X Tattoo, it's one shop, but we ended up buying out the partner, or my old business partner did. I opened up another shop, which was Red Rocket Tattoo in Long Island, which there's one in Manhattan as well. But Long Island kind of ended up not being a good place or suitable for me to raise kids. And after being on Ink Master, just kind of my personal beliefs changed dramatically, and I just felt that Long Island was no longer a place that I could raise my children.
Well, we're glad you're here.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here, actually.
Good, good. 8 Golden Falcons. Can you tell me what that means?
So, for people that know me, I'm a big nature person. I love fishing, hunting, a lot of things, and anything outdoorsy, I'm a big fan of. 8 Golden Falcons came from the simple thing of, if you look outside and you enjoy nature, you'll see a lot of falcons flying around. The other thing is my wife, my 2 kids at the time, and then my business partner, his wife and his 2 kids. Right away, the number 8 came to mind, and the Falcons. I just didn't want to name it some generic, run-of-the-mill tattoo shop like ink this and that and prick this, and you know, I wanted something different that kind of enveloped who I am, and I just felt Falcon. So 8 Golden Falcons, and the gold just kind of made it shine, and I just thought it was a cool name.
It is a cool
name. Now, not unfortunately, actually a positive thing is now I'm going to have to change it to 9 Golden Falcons, or +1, because me and my wife just had a little baby girl. So.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
That's wonderful. So you can, yeah, +1. I like that.
That's what I'm thinking. Fair enough.
Yeah. Okay, so Brewster's going through this whole revitalization. I'm sure everybody knows about. We're knocking down buildings and we're recreating. And where do you see yourself fitting into that? And how do you think you can how your shop can enhance what's going on?
Well, I take a lot of pride in my shop. My shop was built on the premise of bringing nature indoors. So my shop, all the countertops, everything like that, it's hardwoods that we have gotten from a mill that we made it. It's all live edge wood, which means you still have some of the bark on it. And it makes it feel very nature-ish, I guess, if that's a word. As far as what we can bring, the art, as opposed to, okay, it's a tattoo shop, but not only, it's very close-minded just to think of it that way. We're also artists and painters, as myself. I've done so many different, a plethora of things with books, painting, cars, motorcycles, everything. And hopefully the revitalization brings in the type of younger crowd that we're looking for, and just diversifies it a little bit and brings a little bit of the artist community back into Brewster as a part to some of the other towns.
And as you were saying, next to the train station, there's a real ease to commuting into the city.
Absolutely.
So that would be an ideal place for people
Phenomenal,
to come.
because then people from the city, kids, artists, anybody that is willing to get away for a weekend if they're not working, even during the week. It makes the travel so much easier. It's only an hour, 15 minutes from Manhattan.
But you feel like you're in the middle of the woods.
Yeah, it kind of lets you escape a little bit. Like Central Park's a phenomenal place, but it's still, you see all the skyscrapers around you. This is far enough away where you feel removed from the everyday stresses and allows you to get away from the city. And the honking horns. I haven't heard one in like 3 weeks. It's phenomenal.
You hear crickets instead of horns.
You know what? Helps me go to bed at night.
I hear you. I hear you. So art training. Where are you? Where did you get trained? How did you end up here? Kind of tell me a little bit about that.
It's kind of a long,
It's a
long song.
long. Okay, give me the
It's
shortened version.
The short version. So as a young kid, I grew up in Brooklyn, as I said. Graffiti was a huge influence because everywhere you walked around, you saw something. And I understand some people don't agree with it, which destruction of property, that stuff, I could understand as an adult now, paying my bills. I know how it goes. But at the same time, a lot of kids were getting paid by businesses to just design the front of their. In Brooklyn, a lot of people have gates on their windows. Nobody leaves ungated businesses. So it was a way for people to advertise, and the times that the stores were closed. So we would get paid to spray paint the names of the businesses, just something beautiful that would attract somebody to look at that. So even if you just looked at the gate, you would still see the person's sign because your eye wanders. So that was basically how I got introduced. And there was a lot of it was a whole art movement of graffiti when I was growing up in the late 80s, early 90s. Yeah, I'm old, okay.
Not that old.
But that kind of translated me going high school. I felt one of my neighbors ended up being a cousin to a really famous tattoo artist in the Lower East Side. One day, well, I was already thinking about it, but I decided I wanted to get tattooed. He said, come down, meet my cousin. Met his cousin. I had my black book, which is where we practiced doing our graffiti and did our pieces where we were going to plan everything. So the tattoo artist looked at, his name was Sean Vasquez, and he said, would you like to apprentice? I'm opening up a new shop. Being from the family that I am, religious and Catholic and all that stuff, European, didn't tell them anything. So after high school, I would leave from school and go straight to Manhattan, because we took the subways, and I would learn how to tattoo. Drawing classes from them, they would make me vigorous stuff, dumb stuff, go get me coffee. And it was a real apprenticeship. Finally, they talked me into going to the School of Visual Arts. They said, go get some formal training so you have some type of degree, because tattooing might not work out. And to be honest, they were looking out for me as older brothers. And Mike Bellamy was the other owner who kind of took me under his wing, and he went to Parsons. So long story short is I went to School of Visual Arts, kind of outgrew it. I felt that I knew everything they were teaching me, even though technique and all of that stuff, and I'm not trying to be pretentious, it was just I didn't feel it was right for me. So I did a few years there, and then I just started traveling the world, painting. Mike Bellamy was a huge painter, and he really took me under his wing, started painting on a daily basis, and then just started getting jobs. I mean, computers weren't even, they were in infancy at that time for graphic design. And basically just spiraled from there. It was like a School of Visual Arts, painting, drawing, and it was every single day, sitting on the train with a black book. I mean, it was just nonstop drawing. My hands
Were you still tattooing at that point?
Yes, I was tattooing. And just honestly progressing and getting better. And within a year, I was in my first tattoo-oriented book. Within the second year, I was featured in the Museum of Natural History for a body arts exhibit. I did a contest for Burton snowboards. I was published in my second book, and it just kept progressing. And to be honest, my parents started becoming supportive, and it just grew and grew and grew. And now I am where I am, and I'm really happy. So I can't complain.
Well, that's terrific.
Sorry, that was kind of long, but
That wasn't so long. That wasn't so
there's
bad.
a lot more. But
So I want to touch on Ink Masters just briefly. You were involved in Ink Masters how many seasons ago?
I was on season 5. I think
5.
right now they're on season 8. I'm not exactly sure. I think they do 2 seasons a year.
Okay. So aside from all the stuff that goes on a TV show, I'm more interested in what you learned about yourself. When you walked away from that experience, what did you learn about yourself?
That's a tough one. I went into the show kind of not expecting anything. I know who I am, and I didn't know who I was going to be competing against for the most part, other than my rival on the show. But I just went in there with take it for what it is and see what happens. And I ended up finding out that I'm actually a stronger person than I thought I was, and that I handle stress and pressure very well. Even though I act like a nut job and I get frantic, I actually work better that way, and that kind of translates into my painting. Like when I'm on the deadline, I got to get stuff done, and I'm not the most organized person. My wife can tell you that. So.
And what about your art? Did your art change after the show? Did you feel like it was different afterwards? And that was strictly tattoo art, but do you feel like it's changed the way you do things?
I think myself as a person, I changed tremendously. Everybody sees the glitz and glamour, and yes, that is there, and it's fun, and you get treated and spoiled. But there's a lot of mental anguish that goes through a lot of things, and I think artists are the most finicky, I don't know,
I
self-centered.
work with artists every day.
Yeah,
So.
I mean, I'm a tough guy if I need to be, but about my art and my daily work as far as tattooing is concerned, I'm very sensitive about it. So what I learned about myself and what changed was I take the idea in my head that I really don't care what other people think. I just want to do a solid, let's put tattooing into perspective. I do a solid tattoo. I want people to be happy with it, and I do what I want, meaning that I explain to the customer what they are getting, and I sit down with them and I give them that respect. But at the same time, I'm going to tell them, like, hey, this is a good idea, but just because of experience, and I'm trying to steer them into the right direction, because my biggest fear and the thing I don't want to happen is somebody to have the idea of, I regret this tattoo.
Right.
That's my biggest.
Because it's very permanent.
Well, nowadays it's laser, but realistically, yes, it is permanent. But I try to explain to people, really, I turn people away all the time. I'd rather do that than you get a tattoo that you're not happy with. So I take that time and explain to people the process, what to expect, and basically people that come get tattooed by me already have heard from somebody else, and I treat everybody with dignity and respect. I mean, that's all.
I got to see that in action when I watched.
I just get very sensitive about that stuff.
Yeah, I got
a lot
to
of
see
people
you do
are
it.
all about the money, and for me, yeah, it's great paying my bills, but I want the person to be happy. That's bar none the most important thing to me.
Right. Your process, and that's what I want to talk about next, is your process. But I was amazed, and I've watched you do this, but to have nothing and then watch you create it was really amazing to me, watching it all kind of come together, and the pride that you take in what you do and how meticulous it is. I mean.
Well, thank you very much. I mean, and maybe it's because I've been doing it so long, I don't think about what other people see, because I just see it through my eye, and to the common person, and no offense in any way, but somebody that doesn't do it on a daily basis sees it a totally different way than I.
Right.
And I'm always striving for that next and better, because I see my friends and other people that are in my industry pushing and pushing, and I feel like I'm never doing enough. So it's always a stressful, it's like you got to push yourself.
Yeah,
So it's tough.
You're very, very talented.
Thank you very much.
So when you paint, let's get to our paintings.
Okay.
You're going to be showing at the art gallery for a month,
Yes,
and
I am.
I'm very excited about
So
that.
am I. I'm very so.
The influence for your painting, is there a particular influence or a particular style that you follow? Is there someone that you kind of feel that you model? Where does it come from?
There's a lot of people that inspire me in painting. Mike Bellamy, who's the person who took me under one of the people that took me under his wing to teach me tattooing, huge painter, and I've always looked up to him. So my other friends make fun of me because I always call him like, hey, I'm going to send you a picture, tell me what you think. And he's my harshest critic. And I don't know why, but I always feel like I need to impress him, which is a positive thing because I feel like it makes me strive to get hard, do better things. My influences could be anything. It could be me walking, I could be in a bad mood. This painting, I think I was very frustrated and, I can't say angry, but just frustrated with myself. And I started painting it. And
It's very dark.
Thank you, but not in a negative way.
No.
It's dark, just showing my frustration, but beautiful at the same time. So I painted half, I started painting it, and I took a while off because I have a bunch of paintings going on. And then I couldn't paint it because I was in a good mood. It sounds weird, but
No,
I had
it
to
doesn't
wait
sound
for
weird.
that mood to come back, and then I finished it. I mean, there's hundreds of hours in this painting, 100 hours at least, but I can't paint if I'm in a different mood on a different.
So you have many pictures going on
Yes.
at the same time.
Multiple. I think I have 24 right now.
Wow.
And I try to remember how I felt when I was painting them, and I try to get back into that whole groove.
Okay, and as far as what you're putting into the painting, the image or whatever it is, that's just something that comes to you and you just go with it?
Yeah, I mean, I paint for myself. It's great if other people appreciate them. It really is. It's phenomenal. If I could sell a painting and profit off it, great. I don't paint for that. I paint to express myself and hopefully do a good job at it. I mean, I don't know what it's going to turn out, how it's going to turn out, and I tell you, I've told you in the past that it's not finished yet. It's not finished, and I sometimes just have to put the chopping block down and say, I'm done.
Right.
So the inspirations, it could be so many different things. My daughter yelling at me or being in a bad mood, or my wife. It's so many different things. It's very hard to put a pinpoint on anything.
And what do you hope that people see in your art?
What I hope-
as I look at this, what would you want me to take out of this?
Honestly, when I paint it, I've been thinking about that because people have asked me. And I think even this painting, for example, and I don't like getting into this whole mythology and these ideas because I just paint because I love to paint. But this one, I painted it feeling, even though your darkest days, they're beautiful because you're breathing and you're still on this earth walking. So it's a raven and it's dark and there's a grim reaper and that's maybe some people will take it as death. Right. But it's not. It's your darkest days could still be the most beautiful things because it's a beautiful painting. It's not gory, it's not scary. It's just what it is. I think ravens are beautiful birds. They have a bad idea to them, a connotation.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's beautiful.
Thank you very much.
Great. Okay, so being in the community, showing at the gallery, you'll be exposed to a lot of different people who will be coming in to see your work, from adults to children. What would you tell a kid if they were going to get involved in tattooing or if they were going to follow their heart and be an artist? What kind of advice could you give now that you've sort of been doing this a long time?
Well, the funny thing is, even before the show, but after the show, because I got so much more exposure, I mean, you're talking about tens of millions of people have watched the show. I've been asked this question. And my first answer, being a parent, honestly, is go to college. And I understand that's not...
Would that have been your answer if you weren't a parent?
I don't know. I can't. I really can't answer that. And just being a tattoo artist, I'm one of the lucky few, for the simple fact of I got a break in life where I was putting on a national television show. Being a tattoo artist is not what it was 20 years ago, 10 years ago. It's very difficult. It's not a free ride. Like I said before, it was a year and a half of constant begrudging work where your hands hurt, you did stuff you didn't want to do. I mean, if that person nowadays has that in them, that they could dedicate that time and not make any money for a year and a half, please go do it. But there's positive and negatives to everything, But as far as an artist, if you dedicate anything in life and you push, it's not going to happen overnight. It might not. If you love doing it and it makes you happy, do it. Because self-satisfaction is the best thing in life, as opposed to living by the norm. And I still am a firm believer in that, even though I'm a parent, and I'll tell my kids the same thing. I want them to go to college, even though some people don't agree with me. If they choose not to, and they're hardworking at whatever they do, they could be cleaning out or still, whatever the case may be, which is it's a job, and you're getting paid. And I respect all of it. I'll tell my kids the same thing. Just do what you want to do, but just if you're going to do it 100%. That's the easiest thing I could tell you.
I like that.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. All right, well, again, Erik will be showing at the studio at May 5th is your opening.
Yes, ma'am.
From 7 to 9 at night. Please come down to the studio, and he'll be there the entire month of May. If you'd like to see his work or any of the other things that are going on at the studio, you could look at us at www.oththeater.org and come join us at any time. Thank you again for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
And I look forward to your workup.
Appreciate it. Thank you.